All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and blessings to whom the world ignorantly calls God in Jesus Christ, whose real name in the Hebrew is Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, the elders of Grace Millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect of Yasharallah, spread it across the four corners of the planet Earth. Who spread this word in truth and in sincerity. Peace to the sisters who watch and who learn as well. And wow, man, this is going to be the second attempt at doing this video. As you can see in the top left screen, there are two M's, all right, which are which are for the Mobison. Okay, now, hey, I was just speaking in the spirit, and Mobson just closed on its own. All right, so here's basically another one of those topics that is evidently going to cut Satan, okay, Esau, okay, the so-called white man. All right, and man, I was in deep, man. All right, because a lot of this is going in the spirit, and I looked up and I seen that this air bubble, this Mobison air bubble, was gone, man. Okay. So it's my belief that these elites, they're trying to stop this word. They've got more sophisticated in their ability to manipulate our devices, like my phone, Wi-Fi speed, slow. Weird phone, numbers from these robot calls. All right. Oh man. But anyway, I wanted to approach the subject again of Cornelius. Okay, and that is another subject that these Christians have no clue about. And even a lot of Hebrew Israelite groups, okay, which I call the Hicks, Hebrew Israelite Christians, they have no idea, okay, about the subject of Cornelius and the fact that he is an Israelite. Now, what you're looking at on the screen, what you're seeing, is a woman who appears to be a so-called white woman. All right. Now, no one is white. No one is black. All right. These are all statuses. Okay. White and black was used as a status for rich and for poor, for desirable and undesirable. I wish that you teach your children, if you have children, to not identify in these terms, man. Okay? To not identify themselves ever as being black, because black is not an identity. All right? Black means that you're either wicked, evil, okay, or unwelcomed, okay, miserable, or something unpleasurable. Whereas white, okay, means that the individual or the person is welcomed, pure, supreme. Okay? And this is also psychology. This is mental psychology. So, mentally, when you start accepting people for white and for black, you're mentally saying that they're superior or, better off than you. All right? Which is most certainly not the case. Okay? These terms popping up, all right? And as you will see, you will hear in this article that these terms, are new terms. Black and white are new terms, all right? Which popped up, all right? For the pure intent on racial superiority. Okay? For class superiority. The ability to have benefits or not. Okay? To widen, all right, the wealth gap. Okay? As you see today, all right, a lot of people who came out against this guy, Donald Trump, all right, they came out, voted, especially our black people, all right. I'm saying black in the sense that, of no understanding, no education, all right. They came out and, in historical numbers and voted this guy, Donald Trump out of office. George, I want to call this guy George. I've been calling him George. But they voted this guy out of office in record number to replace him with Biden. Bend over, broke back Biden, all right? And, this guy Trump, he's fed up, man. He came out and he spilled the beans, okay? He spilled the beans, man. Because, you had all of these talking head media outlets, which they're part of the conspiracy to widen the wealth gap, because that's what it's about. Okay, they're trying to widen the wealth gap. Have only two classes: a class of rich, which are white, and poor, okay, which are black. And people like Jay-Z, they will be part of the poor. Trust me, okay. Jay-Z no, man. They're not going to, when the elite get their way, man. People like Jay-Z and Oprah, and they've already destroyed, demolished Bill Cosby. All right. Okay, these people are going to be poor, and there's just only going to be the rich. All right. And you have, if you listen, like I was listening to the radio station, okay, and you have these radio personalities who are, in support or, talking about this jab and, promoting the jab. Okay, they're promoting the jab, man. Okay, radio stations like 92.3 and 107.5 here in Chicago, they're already attempting to try to make you look bad for not wanting to take the jab. Okay, they're saying which was the original plan for $600. They were going to give you $600 and then wave $1,000 in your face to take the jab. And guess who was going to take it? So-called black people, so-called Hispanics. Okay, which most of you, seeing how everybody wore the onesies and wore the pajamas together. Okay, for this, Hell Day, they're going to do the same thing and take that chip, that RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast, and they're going to do it together as families. And you who don't take that RFID chip or that jab, okay, which, hey, I wouldn't take no type of jab, whether it was I'll say this to the end, if the RFID chip is not in the vaccination, I'm going to treat it like it is. All right, I'm going to treat it like it is. I'm not taking either one. All right, I'm going to pause this video right here for a quick second. Okay, I'm back, Salakia. But this guy DJ Trump, damn, Salakia, DJ Trump, he came out and spilled the beans, man. He came out and said how, I guess it was the bipartisan in the first bill, the Republicans and Democrats were trying to send money elsewhere, okay? And in the second bill, okay, they did the same thing, man, all right? They did the same thing. Trying to send money everywhere, okay? Besides put money into the pockets of those who desperately needed the money, okay? And then once he came out and said where all of this money and spending was going, then you had the Democrats, try to play it off because they didn't think that this guy was going to go that far. Okay? But this guy Trump, man, he's not bullshitting, man. This guy might just take the goddamn thing, man. Okay? This guy, man, he's no nonsense, as it would seem, man. Okay, he might, take this guy, man. He might just take this whole election, man. Go into dictator mode, man. Because he came out and spilled the beans, man. He said that America was sending money to Egypt, and that the Egyptians, he was, saying how they would spend the money on buying Russian military weapons, man, and sending billions of dollars to places that won't even open, and only offering the American people $600. And once the Democrats heard that, then they changed their tune, okay? Because they all of these bipartisans, and and what I mean by bipartisan are the Democrats and the Republicans. They're together, man. Okay, and they're all trying to widen the wealth gap. In order to force you into receiving the mark of the beast, or the RFID chip. Okay, whether they put it in the vaccine or not. Okay, now that's another lesson. Okay, well, we've already covered that, but that brings me to this. Okay, black and white. Okay, statuses. All right, Cornelius. Okay, as you look at this woman, she looks like a so-called white woman, okay? But here it is, she is a so-called black woman. 1 second. All right, Salakia about that. But these Christians, they throw the fact that what they think is the fact that Cornelius is an Israelite. erroneously. Okay? So I'm going to read this story. It says, they look white, but say they're black. A tiny town in Ohio wrestles with race. And see, race is very important. Okay? I'm going to have to just, I just received a call that I'm going to have to break somebody's heart. Okay? I'm going to have to break their heart substantially. Okay? Because, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. Okay? Now, I've told this person many times what their nationality was. And, this person refuses to listen. So, sometimes they just got to learn the hard way, man. Okay, no matter what. Okay? So their heart is going to be broken. All right? But so be it. All right? It's part of learning. The article says, they look white, but say they're black. A tiny town in Ohio wrestles with race because your heritage is everything. Okay? Your heritage, your identity is everything. I'm going to jump right through it, all right? It says, the pale woman with frizzy, gray streaked hair commands her on and off partner of over 20 years, Jimmy, okay? And she has an on and off partner. So, hey, this is Jake, man. There's only a nigga woman. Only a ninja woman would go 20 years with an on and off partner and not be married, right? Okay? Jimmy, who is from one of the few white families in East Jackson, to fetch her purse. He plops it onto her lap. She struggles to get an old piece of paper folded up in her wallet. Let me see if this is recording. Okay. She slowly unfolds it to present her birth certificate. Negro, it reads, next to each of her parents' names. She looks up triumphantly. That's right, man. She happy. Okay. Now look. Now, she went through hell, and that shows you, man. She looked up triumphantly. Now, most of you Jakes, you're not happy about being a Jake, okay? But she is happy, man. Okay? Because she probably reads. Okay? They know, all right? And they probably heard, Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the one that follows. All right? Why else would you be happy to be Jake, man? Unless you know something, man. Okay? Victory in her periwinkle eyes. See? That's victory, man. It's a legal document, she said. Hey, she's happy, man. She is happy. The last known full-blooded black person in her family was her great-great-grandfather, Thomas Bird. Her parents told her. Photos of them, who both look white, adorn the wooden walls on either side of Shrek's chair. Their stares follow her throughout their former home. They are the ones who told her she was black. Okay? And so, going back to slavery, going back to the 1600s, 1700s, all right, 1800s, when Jake was free, black and white were statuses. Okay, and up until the point to where these Edomite women in the East who had acquired wealth from the death of their husbands and chose a very skilled Negro, okay, so-called Negro or Israelite, to be their husband. You had Israelites, it pretty much in power, and Esau, okay, Esau not doing good or faring well, okay, because untold to you, a lot of these Jakes, all right, were craftsmen in black, master blacksmiths, working in iron and in other skills that were making bricks. Okay, if you look at people like what's this guy name? Oh man, the guy that worked with Benjamin Franklin. Guy that Benjamin Franklin stole all his ideas. I believe it was Benjamin Banneker. All right, I believe it was Benjamin Banneker, who was, a mathematician, an engineer. Okay, so he was doing schematics at that time. He was a astronomer. Okay, he created the first almanac. Okay, so Jake during that time was very skillful, had a lot of wisdom, and so these Edomite women would get with Jake. Okay, would get with Jake then, and Esau was were they servants even here in America. Okay, and so when Jake would get with these women, a lot of these Jake, they looked like Edomites, man, but they knew that they were so-called black men. All right, like she said, they are the ones who told her she was black. Okay, she says, I'm 53 years old, and that's all I've ever been raised as, black, Shrek said. So if you're taught that from when I'm old enough to understand up to when you're a grown woman, then it's born and bred in you, and you're automatically black. All right, which she's not black, she's a Hebrew Israelite. Okay, and again, Hebrew Israelite, Hebrew Israelites vary in color, man. Okay, they vary in color. Again, now I'm going to jump to another story for the sake of time. All right. Okay, and just a little, I'm just gonna just a little historical lesson on this region. All right. It says the contrast is a byproduct of anti-abolitionist sentiment in Waverly that began nearly 200 years ago. Ohio was established as a free state at the start of the 19th century, but those fleeing slavery in the South by using Ohio's underground railroads avoided Waverly. It was known to be anti-abolition and anti-black. It was also a sundown town, where black people had to be out of town by dark or face arrest, threats, or violence. And that's still going on today. All right? A lot of these towns and cities you go to, they're still sundown towns. I'll jump down a little bit more. Okay, alongside the rise of anti-slavery laws was a parallel rise of what historians and scholars called black laws, okay? Including the one-drop rule. Okay, and again, this is like when I was just telling you. You had these Israelites, the so-called black men, who were who were being chosen by these European women, or white women, to be their husband, and so the wealth was going to them. Okay, and the Edomites, or the so-called white people, were upset at this, and so they came up with these laws, which black laws and the one-drop rule, okay, were inserted. All right. Alongside the rise of anti-slavery laws was a parallel rise of what historians and scholars call black laws, including the one-drop rule. That one drop of black blood disqualified an individual from having the legal status of whites, okay, which became a widely accepted social attitude in Ohio beginning in the 1860s. See, and so a so-called white man, and as you see, a so-called white man can never receive repentance, man. Never. You know, a lot of these Christians are, a so-called white man will never, okay, accept a black man as God or the Son of God, okay, as a superior. They will always, if they do, try to be, diplomatic to say, they would say, well, we're equal, okay. Well, God is Middle Eastern, okay. But the fact that the Heavenly Father and His Son and the angels are being so-called black men, Salakia, part of the body, it's out of the question. All right, it's out of the question. Okay, this thing is moving by itself. And what historians and scholars call black laws, including the one-drop rule, the one drop of black blood disqualified an individual from having the legal status, and again, white and black are legal statuses, which becomes a widely accepted social attitude in Ohio beginning in the 1860s. All right. Shrek's father was a laborer. He told her he was Irish, but also told people he was black. Her mother a homemaker, identified as black, though the only reason she considered herself black, as her daughter does now, is because of her great-grandfather, Thomas Bird. Okay, so on her mother's side, okay, her grandfather goes back to being a so-called black man, as well as her father. Okay, her father, he said he was Irish, but he identified as what? As a black Irishman. Okay, because the Irish are also so-called black people. All right, some of them, not all of them, but some of them. All right. I'm going to jump down, all right, to another one. So you see, this woman looks perfectly like a white woman, all right? Now, here's another case that gets kind of etchy. A few paces down the 335, on an unmarked dirt road with a rickety wooden bridge over a slip of water, sits Roberta Burt Euler's home. She is Shrek's first cousin, though in East Jackson. Everyone claims everyone as family until Euler was born in 1954. When residents of East Jackson went into Waverly, they were not allowed to use bathrooms in town, her mother told her. Okay, so this is Roberta Euler. Okay? Now, she looks like a so-called white woman. All right? Family photos in the Euler's home. Okay, now, that man in the middle, okay, who looks like a total Edomite, okay? Okay, he's a so-called, okay, well, yeah, he's a so-called black man. Okay, if you saw him, you would definitely say that he was an Edomite. Euler says when she was in high school in Waverly in the 60s, even teachers picked on students from East Jackson and seemed surprised when they answered questions correctly. Huh? Well, I guess you are pretty smart. That's what we got, Euler snorts, the memory stinging nearly 50 years later. Those experiences continued well after adolescence. The first time Euler went to a new doctor in the 1980s, she marked black for her race on an intake form. The doctor asked why she would do that because she clearly was not an African American. Not a nigger, she says she told her. Evaluating her red hair, light skin, and freckles, furious, Euler told her she was black and that was the end of the discussion. Okay. Now she could have easily said that she was an Edomite, okay, and got privileges. Probably not even had to pay the doctor bill. Okay. But as the scripture says, hey, rather than to enjoy sin for a season, okay. She dealt with the ridicule, man. Euler ticks off her black ancestors on her fingers. Okay, that's what Jay do. My grandmama, they be moving their fingers, right? That's Jake, man. Euler ticks off her black ancestors on her fingers. Grandmother, grandfather, mother. A picture of Euler's grandparents hang on her floral wallpaper. Her grandma was half Native American and half black, and her grandfather identified as white. She says her other set of grandparents were similar. Okay, but this is on her father's side. grandfather was black, okay? Grandmother was white. The only reason I turned out white was to do with dad's pigment from his mother. That was all. The 65-year-old grandmother says, patting her curly white hair. Maybe the black has run out of the bloodstream. I don't know. But I still consider myself what my mom puts me as. And that's exactly what I say I am. She says, you're either one or the other. That's the way I look at it. You can't be both. And that's going to be the title of this video. Okay? And, you could go in and read the rest of this story. All right? But notice how I pointed out, okay? And I said that last one was kind of sketchy. But as you saw, with Euler, on her mother's side, her grandmother was a black woman, and her father was a so-called white man. But on her father's side, her grandfather was a so-called black man, and her grandmother was white, which would make her an Israelite, okay? Because it all depends on the seed of your father, as with Cornelius, okay? As with Cornelius. So I'm going to end it there with you can't be both, okay? So, I didn't get to bring out too many scriptures, and, maybe I will just go into Cornelius, into the story of Cornelius, but, it's pretty simple and pretty clear to see, man, okay? That Cornelius is an Israelite, man. But anyway, hope this was a lesson that you can learn from, as a, to vision it, to get a clearer picture, because DNA, going back to the original question of if DNA, you can't say DNA or location makes you something, okay? It is whatever your father is, that's the way that it's set up. And these people, these women took great pride in their heritage, all right? So I'm going to end it there. Until next time, Shalom.